obviously it's quite a rocky intro today. Does anybody know who that band was? They're a band called Rooster. So what's the connection?
There's lots of connections. So my manager James used to manage them, and I've written my first album with Nick Atkinson, who's the singer, and I produced and wrote my second album with Luke Tashnik, who is lovely.
I think one of the things that really interested me, if we go right back to the beginning of your career, and the famous sync and the cover of Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Power of Love. Take us through that, because it wasn't your song, and you're a songwriter. So how did that pan out?
By that point, I'd built up a really lovely fan base by using the internet. I was then covering other people's songs anyway to get to that point and learn. And so for me, it wasn't alien to be doing that, but I'd just signed to Parlophone a few months before I'd got the sync, and I just put my first single went out for pre-order, and then we got the sync, and we actually pulled it down again and just kind of hid it, because we obviously knew that this was going to overshadow whatever I was doing. So then we already had everything ready to go straight after, and yeah, I mean, there are downsides to it, I suppose, but for me, it opened me up to an audience that I would never have reached otherwise, and it was on TV every 2 minutes for 2 months. So
you got involved in the business side of the industry quite early with setting up and sort of owning your own rights. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So when I was before I signed my deal, I was kind of putting my music up online independently and releasing my own EPs and touring independently. And then when it came to doing my deal, it was between actually Parlophone and Island Records in the end. And
so they're the two best.
They're the two best ones, so I was incredibly lucky, but I just couldn't choose. The thing that did it for me was Parlophone allowed me to keep all of my previous releases and own those masters. That they started collecting royalties that I obviously couldn't use on myself, that I now put into other artists and pay for projects and things for other artists that I released.
Could you tell me, like, the difference between maybe what comes in from Parlophone and what comes in from your own thing? Is there parity, or what happens there?
As an independent label owner, the royalties that come straight to me without any middlemen kind of doing sneaky stuff actually pays for me to release projects for other artists. So I see the two sides of it. So, and as an independent, I've earned more than what I would get from my major label albums that have had way more streams.
I'm just wondering, what's your schedule like when it comes to songwriting and singing and stuff? Like, how much of your time do you invest doing that, like, right now?
Yeah, I mean, I try, I spend a whole day writing, and then I know that I've sang way too much in that one day, so I have to be careful, I suppose. I try and warm up my speaking voice every day, at least, and not stay out late shouting at people and stuff, which I do. I've got small nodules, actually, from where I didn't warm up. I just shouted, I talked really loudly, I was smoking, like lots of really bad things, and since not doing those things, it's got a lot better, and I feel that I can do 4 shows in a row and not lose my voice. So I just think it's just being careful. You can have a night every now and again, but you can't go on tour and go out every night and expect the shows to be amazing. So that happens, and I mean, and with songwriting, I think I find it quite hard to be rigid, which is why I like working with Luke and just him, because it doesn't matter if we don't do something, because I know I can go in the next day and we might do something, but I find it quite hard to turn up somewhere at 11 with someone I don't know and then write a song, and then, because everyone works differently and sometimes it doesn't work, but for me, I'll just be hanging around and I'll be on the piano at home and it'll be 1 in the morning and I'll write something, and then the next day I might have an idea on a train. It's all completely different, and some different things inspire me, and I think it's just about finding what inspires you and surrounding yourself in those things so you can always write, I guess.
So, when you left college, you said you went straight on tour, but how does it even get to the position where you just go straight on tour? Like, how does that happen?
Well, I actually first started touring when I was in college, and I made it a part of my course. So, I've got to put on a show, okay. So for me, I used I went on Facebook when I had my Facebook page. I looked through my stats and I saw that I had a load of people in Manchester, and I'd never been there, so I put on a really small 60 capacity show, acoustic show in Manchester. I spoke to lots of local promoters and just put some shows together and just did it like that. It was actually a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be anyway. So just like that.
So what would you, if you were going to have like 5 top tips for singer-songwriters trying to make it in the industry, what would they be?
I think one, listen to loads and loads and loads and loads of music, and kind of find what you like writing about as well. Like I was really inspired by writers who wrote about important things, like John Lennon and Joni and Bob Dylan and all of those artists were writing about things that were going on socially, and that's really important because you want to be writing songs that people can relate to. So I definitely think, listening to lots of music, writing with people, even if you don't want to write or do co-writes or any of those things, it's really important because you learn from people. Make the most of all your resources. There's loads of things around you. You don't need a record label to do anything these days. So I think, just make the most of everything and just play all the gigs you get offered and do all the things you want to do.
Please, one more time, give it up for Gabrielle Aplin!